Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios, it's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome in, Hunt and Hill on a Monday from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios downtown in the capital city. I am Hunt Palmer. He is Hill, Jeremy Hill. Casey Gaines back in action. Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos. Mr. Hill, how are you?
I'm doing great after watching K. Doty swing the bat, man. That dude can rake right there.
They all hit this weekend. We'll talk plenty about LSU's opening weekend at the box. Destroyed Maine Friday, destroyed Maine Saturday, destroyed Maine Sunday. Not really an issue of who they were playing, more thing just about LSU and how well that they played. So we'll get into all that. We'll talk LSU basketball. Went to Columbia, South Carolina on Saturday. Had a shot in the air to win it. Did not. And they fall back to 500 in the league. Let a chance to get a nice road win. Slip away. Had a double-digit lead in both halves. Couldn't hang on. We'll talk plenty about that. Scott Rabalais from The Advocate at 1:15 to talk all things going on in LSU sports. So loaded show. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Especially those of you on YouTube and the Bayou Ford chat. Throw us a like if you would. We appreciate y'all being with us. All right, let's go to the box. LSU, kind of a record-setting performance. Not kind of a record-setting performance. It was a record-setting performance. The most runs ever scored on an opening weekend by an LSU baseball squad, breaking the 96 teams record against Western Kentucky. 13-1 was the final on Friday night, 17-8 the final on Saturday. And then Sunday's finale really got away from Maine, 21-6. It was a barrage of offense. Mr. Hill, what stood out to you?
Yeah, the preseason hype was real, man. You talked about this team going into the season. No one really had real concerns about the offense and what this batting lineup had to offer, especially the first five guys. And I think for me, seeing what you saw from Joe Bear, I didn't know that he would be that that guy in the five hole that could really do the damage that he did over the weekend. But if you can continue to get something from him, those first four guys from Morgan to Cruz to Berry and Doty, they're going to be dominant all season. Now just getting the back end, love what I saw from Merrifield. This lineup is scary, man. And what I really saw when runners did get on base, those guys weren't striking out. They're keeping the ball in play, whether it's sac flies, getting timely hits. That's what you need to score the amount of runs and scoring 51 ones in a weekend. I don't care who it's against. That's impressive.
It is. Look, Maine's not any good. I didn't see a fastball hit 90 miles an hour. I wasn't watching every single pitch on the gun, but it didn't appear that they brought in anybody that had any significant stuff. But LSU still 45 hits on the weekend, 19 walks. They were hit by pitch 13 times. They were on base 77 times in 3 games. That averages out to 26 per game. And you're only playing 8 innings because you're not hitting in the ninth. It was really, really impressive. I thought the most impressive stretch, they scored in 12 straight innings between Friday and Saturday. That tells me it's not just 2 or 3 guys doing damage when they come up. The entirety of the lineup was having productive at-bats, and that's what this lineup strives to be. You know that they've got the top. They've got the All-Americans at the top. Cruz will be an All-American. Barry will be an All-American. Morgan's probably an All-American. Doty may be an All-American. What you got the rest of the way? And those guys really stood up and swung the bat. They scored in 17 of the 24 innings this weekend, which was really good. They had 21 extra base hits and struck out 21 times. So when you're getting extra base hits as many times as you're striking out, that's a very, very good sign. Individually, I think there's a lot of guys you could point to. What was really disappointing, obviously, was the injury to Cade Beloso. He's on crutches, and Jay Johnson says he'll be out for a while. Just a freak thing. Hurt himself in the pregame huddle. They get around first base, and do the little rah-rah thing, and he jumped up in the air and obviously came down and tweaked his knee somehow, some way. So he'll be out for a little bit. But as you mentioned, Joe Bear stepped in. He got 6 hits and 9 at-bats. Also walked 3 times, was hit by a pitch. I thought he hit the ball very, very hard, was great. Doty was awesome, start to finish, 3 doubles and 2 homers for him. He's going to have a monster season. And then I think one of the guys that impressed me in the game that he started on Sunday was Giovanni DiGiacomo hitting a home run to the opposite field. You're going to have to seize your opportunity when you get one. Obviously, Braden Joubert got one because of the injury to Peloso. He was great. You give Giovanni DiGiacomo a little spot start, sit Dugas for a game, and he does a good job of swinging the bats, because if you don't swing the bat when you get a chance, they're going to move on to somebody else because they got enough options. It creates a lot of competition, that's for sure.
Yeah, it definitely does. And we talked about it going into the season, just the amount of depth you have and just, how Jay Johnson can mix and match this lineup and put certain guys in the DH, put certain guys in the outfield. We know what those first 4 guys are going to be, but kind of just getting the bottom of this lineup solidified. I think Gavin Dugas, he came in and played well, but then like you said, DiGiacomo, he really batted well. He batted 500 for the weekend, and that's just what you need from these guys. I know it's against Maine. I know you're not going to see any first-round draft picks or anything from this Maine pitching lineup, but to me, it just all starts with getting the confidence early, and I think that's exactly what this team has going into this season. They feel like, we're going to be stepping in that batting box, and we're going to go to work, and that's exactly what they did. So we're still some guys that I think, Coach Johnson's going to give some more opportunities to, especially early on in the season, to kind of solidify this thing out. So when you do hit this SEC stretch, you know who your exact starters are, and everyone kind of knows their role. But these are great problems to have, especially right now in the season.
We questioned how he was going to line this thing up, and that's not the biggest deal in the world. They're all going to be in there. Which way you move them around is kind of a luxury that you've got. But I love that he did hit Morgan in the leadoff spot. We kind of thought that. I thought he might hit Doty in the leadoff spot just because of how well Cade had been swinging it. But I love Morgan in the leadoff spot. He takes pitches and he puts the ball in play and gets on base, and he can steal bases. He gets 3 hits and scores 2 runs in the first game. Then you go Barry, then you go Cruz, then you go Doty, and that's kind of the way that he lined it up. So you got Morgan, the lefty, at the top. Then you got a switch hitter in Barry, who is going to do, I think, a little bit more damage from the left side. Then you go to Cruz, who's from the right side. Then back to Doty, who's from the right side as well. And then you move Gavin Dugas down in the lineup. We saw Gavin hit 8th in the first game. Let's see as we pull the box scores up. They're so hard to read because there's so many people in them because they cleared the benches in all these games. But you hit him down towards the end of the lineup. It just gives your lineup so much more depth. And when you've got to worry about a guy who has the potential to hit 20 home runs down at the bottom of your order, it makes pitching in every single inning difficult. I mean, we talked about them scoring in as many scored in 12 straight innings. That is part of it when you've got guys that can really swing it down at the bottom of the order.
Yeah, we talked about that, especially trying to figure out the catching position. I know that's probably the worst position as far as offensive production that you got from last season. But I think you're starting to see Merrifield, who started at the bottom of the lineup. He's giving you some production. You saw him lay some bunts down, move some runners, and he started getting the bat going himself. So this lineup is just it's going to be – I'm interested to see just how some of these pitching staff try to get through this lineup over the weekend, because they just come at you in waves and waves and waves. And once runners get on base, guys, they're sacrificing at the plate, and the guys are hitting the ball hard. And that's what you saw all weekend from this team. And I know we're going to keep saying this. It's against Maine's pitching staff. It felt like Sunday it was just bad. They scored 11 runs, and they just still had the same pitcher on the mound. It's like, what do you got to do? But hey,
take one for the team, buddy. We don't have a lot of guys left. It's just the way it goes. And it's, I'm a little bit disappointed for a couple of reasons at the non-conference schedule. When you're talking about a Maine team that really isn't very good and had not practiced outside yet, bringing them in, they're totally overmatched. You're bringing in, you're playing 5 games against the SWAC on the weekend with Bethune-Cookman, and then you've got this weekend with Towson and Southern. That's not going to challenge you at all. We really won't learn very much about this team until they go to Houston in 2 weeks, and you see Oklahoma and you see Texas, the number 1 team in the country. That's when we'll learn a little bit more, and you can't take everything. But I guess the point is, in this game, if you can't hit, it's a real problem. But when you do and you dominate the way that you should, that's certainly a step in the right direction. I thought just from start to finish, after the first 3 innings, they kind of got those opening night jitters out. They were just impressive, just all the way through the lineup. And I really do believe, as I sit here, that this is a championship-level lineup. I don't know what the pitching staff's going to look like. We're going to talk about that in the next segment. But it's a championship-level lineup, and they didn't do anything over the weekend to kind of take away from that. And I think just to get off to a good start, it breeds a little bit of confidence and maybe puts a little bit of fear in opposing pitchers. When you start to look at the numbers these guys are rolling up. You try to be too perfect. You all of a sudden start walking guys, putting guys on base, and when you do that, that's when these bats can really start scaring you. Yeah,
it is. And I think we've seen this LSU program schedule Southern early on in the season and lose a couple games in that stretch. So you can't, poo-poo win. I always say that. It doesn't matter who you're playing against. You want to play extremely well. And when you get guys batting well, especially at the top of the order like you have, it just creates that monster builds and it builds and it builds. And these guys have that confidence that carries on throughout the season. We've seen guys going hitting slumps before. This is the exact opposite of that. So this is the exact thing you want to keep carrying on from week to week. And I think this team is hyper confident. You saw them go out there and never let up. They want to score 30 on them, feels like. And that's the type of mentality you got to have going into a baseball season.
So good start for the Tigers. They are 3-0 after a sweep of the Maine Black Bears. Of course, that's only one part of the equation here with the bats. Got a lot to say about the pitching that we saw. We saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We saw 12 arms over the weekend. I want to talk about quite a few of those, and we'll do that when we come back. It's the Monday edition of Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill.
Do you know that micronutrient deficiencies like low vitamin B can drastically affect your energy, your sleep, even your mood? Sync Wellness is here to help. Angie Huff's a doctor of pharmacy over there. She has got a great team over at Sync Wellness, and they will build a supplement and wellness plan for you based on your specific nutrient deficiencies. They can increase your energy, help you get more restful sleep, improve your mood. That's things that we all want to do. So head on over to Sync Wellness, synkwellness.com, and check it out.
Yeah, all you got to do is go to synkwellness.com. Sync has all the professional products to help you stay well and keep your immune system strong. One of the most popular items is their pharmacist-created immune pack, conveniently packaged with vitamin D, vitamin C, and zinc in the doses you need to stay well. They also have their immune support IV hydration pack with vitamin C, vitamin B, and zinc. And if you're feeling too ill to walk into their suite, the registered nurses will administer your IV curbside.
My wife spent about 15 minutes on synkwellness.com last night going through things. She's going to go in there for an IV a little bit later this week. If you haven't done that, do it. They've got such an awesome offering over there at Sync Wellness, SYNC, synkwellness.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Dad!
Kids have staked out their place at Ochsner Medical Complex The Grove, where more than 30 pediatricians and pediatric specialists are all conveniently located under one roof, so you can spend less time driving and more time keeping your kids well.
Kids!
It's no wonder kids call DIB The Grove. Ochsner Health Center for Children.
Bayou Ford has 0.9% for 60 months on new Ford F-150 plus $1,000 bonus cash. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. And right now, get $1,000 bonus cash plus 0.9% APR for 60 months on new 2021 Ford F-150. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Out in the open field here on a Monday, Scott Rabalais with us in the second hour at 1:15, talking all things LSU sports. A lot of action on campus this past week, and a lot of really good teams in purple and gold this time of year. Our Citizens Bank poll question of the day about to go up at 104.5 ESPN on Twitter. What's the best LSU team currently in competition? Women's basketball, who got a big win yesterday. Gymnastics, always a top 10 caliber program. Got baseball, obviously the way the Tigers played earlier, and we'll throw softball in there as well, even though Beth Serena's squad's dropped a couple of games early on. Their non-conference schedule is so brutal, but she always does that, and they always come out better for it on the other side. So there's your Citizens Bank poll question today. We will get to those answers in the second hour. I always say this, Jeremy, and I'll always say this as long as I'm on the show, on the air. Opening weekend in baseball doesn't tell me what you can't do, but it will tell me what you can do. So just because Tyler Schaefer went out there and couldn't find the plate in his outing on Sunday doesn't mean he can't throw strikes. It just means he didn't on this Saturday. However, if Blake Money goes out there and works 7 innings and is throwing 93 miles an hour in the 7th, it tells me that he can hold his velocity for 7 innings. So it doesn't tell me what you can't do, because you can always improve. But if you do something, it tells me what you can do. So on the mound, I thought LSU was excellent over the weekend. I really, really was impressed. There were a couple of outliers. Hilliard didn't have his best stuff in the 3rd inning, and they got to him a little bit. Schaefer clearly did not have any command at all, and they got to him because he walked 4 guys in. Outside of Schaefer, if you go outside of Schaefer, they threw 26 and 2/3 innings. They only won 4 guys. That's the biggest number for me. Throw it over the plate. Make college hitters hit it. You got 8 other guys out there that can help you on defense, and LSU's 8 are pretty good playing defense. So your biggest takeaway from the pitching side of things?
Well, you saw why Blake Money earned that Friday night starting job. I know it's against Maine, and it's fairly early on in the season, but he was so impressive. Just his confidence. Anytime he was striking a guy off, you saw him walking off the mound with a lot to say and a lot of emotion, and that's all the work he's put in. You can see all the work he's put in. His teammates have the confidence in him, and to me, if he pitches like that, I know it's against man, I keep saying that, but if he pitches like that, he can be the Friday night starter, because his command of the strike zone was just very impressive to me, and just how just dominant he was in that game. So I loved what I saw from him. I think Hilliard. Anytime you don't have the velocity on the fastball, what you would desire, especially, you got to command the strike zone. And I think he just didn't do a great job of that. And you saw them kind of, take advantage of that, especially in that 3rd inning. And I think Floyd, he came in on Sunday, and I think he pitched well. And so I think for me, finding that 3rd guy, I don't know if Hilliard's got to be battling for that now. I would love if they could stretch Razelman out. To me, he had the most impressive stuff I saw over the whole weekend. That's yet to be determined, but I think I love what I saw from Money, and I love what I saw from Floyd. So
I got a lot to say on pitching because there were so many guys that went out there. We'll start with Money on Friday. He looked the part. I can't tell you he's going to be able to do that at night in and night out. I can't tell you how that would look against Vanderbilt or Florida. I can tell you that on Friday he looked the part. He was throwing strikes. He was getting ahead of everybody. I think I heard somebody say on Sunday, it's Jason Kelly, and I was saying, where did I hear that? Jason Kelly in his pregame interview with Bill Franquez on the network said that at one point Money threw like 31 of 37 pitches for strikes or something like that. I mean, that's what you need. He held his velocity. He got through 7 innings because his pitch count was so low, and even though he struck out 10 guys, nobody in the Maneri era on opening night went 7 innings. Twice they got 6 and 2/3. Nola did it in 2013, and Poche did it in 2016. But no one has thrown 7 innings because it's tough to stretch yourself out at that early in the season and get through that many innings with that many pitching. But he definitely looked the part, and it looked better when I went back and looked at the highlights than it even did in the box, because you could see the command a little bit better, and you could see the bite on the breaking ball. It was really impressive. That looked good, and I'm very, very excited to see him again this coming Friday and see if he can build off of that. The other starter that I wanted to talk about was Ty Floyd. I'm going to try to get Coach Kelly on this week and ask him this specific question, because it perplexes me a little bit. I didn't see Ty Floyd throw a breaking ball the entire time he was out there. Now, he may have, and I may have missed it, but I don't think I saw one. And that's the biggest question mark for Ty Floyd is, can he throw the breaking ball? We know he's got the high spin rate fastball. We know he can elevate it. We know he can get some guys out with that. But you're not going to be able to get SEC teams out just playing country hardball for 5 or 6 innings. That ain't going to get it, especially at 93. Maybe at 102, not at 93. So I wanted to see the breaking ball, and I wonder why he didn't throw any on Saturday. It was okay because Maine can't hit, and so it looked fine. But I was looking for the development and never saw it. He threw plenty of breaking balls in the fall. I saw it, and he just didn't do it at all in this game, and I just thought that was odd. Maybe the thought was we're so far ahead. This is week 1. We just want to get Ty comfortable. Let's just throw fastballs and we'll be fine. I just found it odd that he didn't throw any breaking balls.
Yeah, and I think that's what Jay Johnson, that's what he said based off of last season and watching the pitching staff going into this season. Got to throw more strikes. So I think if Ty wasn't comfortable with those off-speed pitches and he couldn't really command them for strikes, they probably wanted to stay with it, especially early on in the season, like right now. Talking to Coach Kelly when he came on, he said they're constantly working on guys with stuff like that. So I feel like that's a great question to ask him. I definitely didn't see any myself, but I think the way he commanded strike zone, he had 8 Ks. I think he pitched well. It's against Maine, but doing the job he did, I think he played well.
And then some of the bullpen guys were awesome. I thought Paul Gervais, when he came in the game, was exceptional. Fastball was humming at 94, snapped off a nasty slider to get a strikeout. At 6'10", throwing 94 miles an hour, like that is a real bullpen piece. I loved him. I thought that Rabalais came in yesterday. He also did not throw a breaking ball. It didn't matter. He was throwing gas, and he was looking back at the scoreboard to check it out. He got up to 98 miles an hour, throwing really hard. There's a buzz in the park when he came in there, and he was checking the radar gun. He was walking around the mound, kind of huffing and puffing, struck the guy out, strutted off the mound. I don't know what the starting rotation is going to look like. I don't know how it materializes. Hopefully it does, but they've got some guys at the back end that can shut this thing down. And Riley Cooper was brilliant in his one inning. He struck out 3. Changeup looked nasty. I said he didn't have a plus pitch last week because I hadn't seen a ton of him. The changeup was very, very good, and he looked very good, and he got a lot of outs for Arizona. So you start to look at that bullpen, and you look at, we got the left-hander Cooper that's coming in, throwing that changeup, getting guys out. Gervais at 6'10", throwing 94. Rabalais almost pushing 100, and then you know that Fontenot's a proven commodity at the end. You're starting to find a bullpen that kind of has some dudes. They just got to find guys that are going to start.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Finding the 3 starters over the weekend, but for me, I would love to see if they can stretch Rabalais out. I know that's something that Coach Johnson doesn't. Yeah, it looks like he's going to probably be in that setup role, maybe like Gervais be the closer, but the bullpen looks good. I think you find some guys that can especially throw a lot harder than your starting guys can, so that's going to be a great changeup to bring some of those guys into the game and really, try to, shock some of these bad lineups that they're going to be going against. But finding that third guy, I think that's going to be the biggest question for maybe you can stretch David Coleman out a little bit. Maybe that's something you can look towards. But I think that's going to be the biggest question going forward here. Got
some folks sending some questions in the Bayou Ford chat. Fire Skirna says they jumped up so far so fast on Sunday. I think the game plan more to speed up the game. That's just not how baseball coaches generally operate. Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody's ready to go home, but the coaches aren't. They want to see guys compete and perform, and they've been practicing. Now it's time to get them out there and go. I just don't think the score had really anything to do with it. I think they just decided, hey, and we're gonna do what he does best, and that's throw fastballs. I was just disappointed kind of to see that, and then see a tweet or a post in the Bayou Ford chat said I think Floyd threw one off-speed pitch on his 59th pitch. He may have. I certainly did not go back and rewatch all of them. I was just paying attention, trying to see him throw a breaking ball at some point, and just never saw it, which bummed me out. But maybe we can have Coach Kelly on a little bit later, and he can speak to that. David Coleman's another guy we didn't mention. 3 innings out of the pen on Friday, struck out 3. I thought looked good. Didn't walk anybody, which is very good for him. His stuff is going to be just fine from the left side. Just can't walk people, and that's one thing that Jay Johnson harped on all the fall, saying, hey, we have got to throw strikes. We've got to be in the strike zone. We got to compete there. And then in those 2 scrimmages in the fall against UNO and I believe ULL, they did a really good job of throwing strikes. That carried over, which is huge.
Yeah, you saw especially Blake Money led the way off, just pounding that strike zone time and time again, having control of the fastball, and you saw that really carry out the weekend. When you keep runners off base, you keep your defense out of harm's way, especially if they're putting the ball in the play, and it just makes baseball games a lot more easy to win for throughout a season. So I think if you can find guys, especially your starters, guys that you're going to depend on to pitch 5 or 6 innings on any given night, you can do that and keep guys off the base with this bad lineup. Yeah, things are cooking in the right direction for this baseball team for sure.
Cale Lansville's line is bad. 1 inning, 4 hits, 2 earned runs with a strikeout. I didn't think it was that bad. He comes in, they get a swinging nubber to the left side. Nobody's there, and it's a kind of it would have been a broken bat hit with a wooden bat. Then they flared one into right field on him as well. I thought he was in the strike zone. I didn't think he was in too much trouble. I thought they got a couple of balls that weren't hit specifically hard. I still like his stuff and like that he came back and got a punch out. I want to see more of him, and hopefully we will. but the line is not great. And then Schaefer, as I said, came in and walked 4 guys and only got 1 out. That's just a situation where he got out there and just didn't have it that day. And that's going to happen when you go through that many arms. Good news is LSU was in fine position, but they'll want to get Schaefer back on the bump pretty quickly here moving forward. But anything else that we hadn't talked about baseball-wise that kind of caught your eye over the weekend?
I don't know. I think we covered the bases of it. I know we're going against Maine here, so it's not really you're not really taking this stuff to Bible. But I just love what I saw from the team. I just love the energy, especially from some of the guys. Resumen walking around the mound like he's about to blow a gasket, and Blake Money, all that passion he had. I love to see that. I know it's against a non-ranked team who probably hasn't played baseball outside since last year, but I love the confidence and the swagger. I think that's something you can continue to build off of.
The question I got, it's like, are we this good? And the answer is no. They're not going to score 50 every weekend or any other weekend the rest of the way. However, I think this team's legit on offense. I really think they are. I mean, Cruz and Barry and Morgan are proven guys. Doty is a proven guy who's going to be even better than he was last year. I think Jordan Thompson's going to hit just fine. We know Dugas is going to hit. Like, none of this is like, I wonder if the only guy that we don't know if he can sustain it is Joe Bear. I mean, that's and I think he's legitimately got a really good bat. So I guess the only thing we haven't really touched on was the alignment. They played Barry in the outfield a couple days and not at third. He did come into third in the middle of a game. We knew all along that they were going to try to get a bat in right field. We just didn't know it was going to be putting Barry in right field and then bringing somebody in on the infield. I thought Merrifield was good on defense for the most part and hit the ball hard a couple times. So that's a guy that can get a shot. Will Safford got his chance and didn't do anything specifically at the plate, but I think they're going to get him some more ABs. I really think this team is going to be one of the best hitting teams in all of college baseball. I think that's legitimate, and so they got to do it against some better pitching. We know that, but I think they're going to be just fine. So that's the positive side of things. I thought about it today. I was like, all right, what are we going to lead with? Basketball is more important at this point late in the season, trying to make a push for the tournament, whole deal. And then we got baseball, who just blew out Maine 3 times. Is that really that interesting? But the fact of the matter is, it's a little more uplifting, a little happier to start the show. And then we'll get to the disappointing stuff, which is LSU basketball. We'll do that next on Hunt and Hill.
Holding down the middle of the day. This is Hunt and Hill. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable All-Star Toyota. Look at Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood. We community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Let's shift gears a little bit here off baseball onto Fighting Tiger basketball. LSU goes to Columbia, South Carolina, and loses 77-75, a game that LSU led by double digits in both halves. Really controlled early on and let get away. There's no two ways about it. Just disappointing. There's a lot of different ways to go about it. I opened my podcast by saying, this is not a season-defining loss. It's not a crippling loss. It's not a horrible loss. It's just disappointing. It's a disappointing loss. Should have won the game. About that. They got up 21-7 after 7 minutes of play. And even though Jermaine Cooper had 18 points at the half, LSU still had a 6-point lead because in the first, as we talked about on Friday, into a ton of turnovers, 11 of them. That became 13 points for LSU. They also controlled the glass. They won second chance points, 6-0 in the first half. And you stretch the lead out in the second half, and you just let it kind of slip away. Mm-hmm. And it was just a gradual fading, and it ended in really poor late game execution. I have a few concerns about this, and we'll talk about the last possession here pretty shortly. But one alarming trend for LSU to me is the fact that you continue to let somebody get hot, and you don't identify that hot shooter and get a hand in his face on every single possession. We remember this happened against TCU. You let O'Banion make 4 threes, bang, 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 and get them right, stretch that lead out to like 20 at that point, and there's just no need for that. Get over there on him. And then you saw the Vanderbilt game, and that's a situation where you did a poor job at identifying the guy that was a hot hand. It wasn't Scottie Pippen. You didn't have to worry about him. He was doing all the dishing, but you let Rodney Chapman go nuts and hit 6 threes on you for 24 points. And the team has got this identity of we're going to be a switching defense that's real pressure and high energy and is disruptive and gets our hands in it, but you just stay in that and don't adjust by my eye. Mm-hmm. Now, it's possible that Will Wade's telling them to do this or that. Either way, they're not, because you're letting a hot shooter get uncontested looks. And if you look at Couisnard, he scores 18 points in the first half. Then he comes out and hits a 3 with 14:30 to go in the game to give him 23 points. And then you let him get wide open again at 10:53, and then again at 10:18, 2 in the span of 35 seconds, uncontested. He hits threes. Find him. He's got 30. Like, you need to guard this guy, and they just didn't do it.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying all year with this LSU defense. You see them really, have their waves where they're forcing turnovers. The press is really getting into people, and then, other coaches, they get paid money too. They get to call timeout too. And you see teams kind of call those timeouts and really break down the press. And then you see on the defensive side, guys are just overhelping way too much. And a guy beats one guy off the dribble, one step inside the three-point line, you get these huge overreaction from the weak side defense, and it's leaving guys wide open in the help side. And we know anytime you get that 1-5 switch on the big, you're going to double team the post, and teams continue to find ways to break that down because now you're playing 4-on-5, and good teams are going to make you pay for that, especially on the road. And I think for me, the biggest thing I thought the X factor, if you're a South Carolina Gamecock fan, is the production you got from Murray and Pinson. We talked about the scoring load that Murray took on, especially with Pinson out of the lineup, and just what a godsend he was, especially making perimeter shots. And we talked about Xavier Pinson coming back into this lineup, being able to be that point guard to break defensive down, get assists. He did have 8 assists, but you shoot 2 for 10 from the field. Murray, you shoot 2 for 11 from the field, and you just got nothing from those two guys, especially in the second half down the stretch. So for me, that was a game that you should have easily won, just playing the way you did, getting the leads that you did. We talked about LSU playing well and getting those leads and just couldn't take advantage of it. But the one good thing is Tari Eason's got to be Tari Eason. He shows up and seems like in every game, no matter the circumstance, and you know what you got to get from him. Now we just got to get a little more consistency from the other guys.
We'll talk about Eason in a second. We talk about the last possession. What'd you make of Gaines getting a technical with 8 minutes to go, kind of leaving the floor, talking trash, and he chest bumps a South Carolina player, and they tee him up?
Just the wrong place, wrong time, just not the time to be doing that stuff. I think if you're up a huge amount and there's some emotion, of course, emotion happens. It's a basketball game, but when you're in a hostile environment, in a game that you desperately need to do some of the things that you want to do as a LSU Tiger basketball program, I just thought it was a wrong time to be doing stuff like that.
I live in a fantasy world where I would like the official, as opposed to just blowing the whistle and throwing the tee, to go over there, grab Gaines and the South Carolina player and say, hey, you two, this does not happen again, period. I don't want to see it again. Instead of blowing the whistle and immediately throwing the technical, because South Carolina goes to the line, they make 2, they get the ball, they get a dunk, and that's 4-point possession right there, and you lost the game by 2. That's certainly not why it happened, but it's in the middle of a very tight game. I just don't care for the technical. They're always going to blow it. The officials are just have all the power. I got the whistle. I got the striped shirt. Watch me go to work. Nobody cares, but that's the way they're always going to call it. Gaines has got to do a better job. You just cannot get that technical. All right, some of the things they did to lose a one-possession game like they did. I hated that Imwani missed the front end of a 1-and-1 with 3 minutes and 5 seconds to go. From the 4:39 mark to the 1:51 mark, so about 2.5 minutes, didn't score a basket at a time where you have to have buckets. You weren't able to get them. Got the ball picked for a pick 6 and gave them an easy dunk there late. And then the last possession, what did you make of the play call, the execution, the look they got, all that?
Yeah, I think, with Pinson breaking it down the way he was, you're going to get the help side defense. We've kind of talked about this all season long, really having that guy from the three-point line that in any given situation, he's got to be a problem. We're going to get the other team to, get some switches mixed up. We're going to get them, overlapping and trying to chase this guy down. LSU doesn't have that guy right now that you have to respect at the three-point line. So anytime someone breaks someone down off the dribble, you're going to get that help from the weak side, and they're going to force you to take that. And exactly what South Carolina wanted. They wanted us taking a three-pointer with the game on the line, and that's exactly what they get. It's a make-or-miss league. We happen to miss that one, but with the way this team is currently set up, I can't be too mad at it. If you got a wide-open look, it wasn't, J.J. Redick shooting it, but you got a wide-open look with the game on the line, you got to take it.
That's a tepid take, and mine is similar to that. I said on the podcast this morning, I said, look, this would be more interesting, more listener-friendly, more entertaining if I came in here and said one of these two things. Under no circumstance can you shoot a 3. It's a stupid play call, horrible execution. You're only down 2. You don't need a 3. That's an awful job. That'd be entertaining. Or if I said, Tari Eason's the best player on the floor. He's going to be in all conference. He never touches the ball. It's a disastrous play call, awful execution, terrible job. Eason should have had it. Like, okay, that's throwing a fit like Stephen A. does daily, and that gets more listeners than being kind of on both sides of the fence. But that's kind of where I am. So in total, my thoughts are this. The shot was a good look. I'd rather not shoot a 3. I would rather go to the rim. Now, LSU's terrible finishing at the rim. I mean, LSU in the game on layups was 11 of 20. But that's still 50%. Plus, if you go to the rim and shoot around the rim, you've got a better chance to get fouled and a better chance to make the basket. So I would prefer the ball go to the rim there. But you got a wide open look from about a 35% three-point shooter who had made some shots in the game. I mean, at that point, he was 4 of 7 from three-point range. He finishes, of course, 4 of 8. So it's a good look. It's not the one I wanted, but I'm okay with it. Now, for those that say Eason needs to have the ball instead of Pinson, I personally disagree with that. If they would have given the ball to Eason and let him work, I'd be fine with it. I would rather Pinson have the ball. He's the guy that has 8 assists in the game. He's a capable finisher at the rim, and he usually makes the right play. And in this case, they did help, and he made the right play. So I'm okay with the 3. I didn't prefer it, and I prefer the guy that had the ball as opposed to Eason. Again, lukewarm as it may be, I'm telling you the truth, as it were. That's kind of the way that I see it.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you're going to draw something up on the out-of-bounds play, but what you can't account for is how the defense is going to react. You're not in their huddle. You don't know what their rotations are going to be. You don't know what matchups they're going to put on which guy. But I think with the current situation, with the clock ticking the way it was, you got to get a shot up. The last thing you want is a turnover and not to be able to get a shot up. You got a wide-open look. They work on that shot all day around, shoot around practice. That's a shot that, they'll probably take again if given the opportunity. So I'm never going to get mad. I can see if someone went in the lane and got thrown out of bounds by a big man or something. You got a wide open look. It just didn't happen to fall for you. It's a tough time. You shouldn't even been in this situation to begin with the amount of leads you had in both halves. But find yourself there and you put yourself in that position to lose a game, and that's exactly what happened.
I mean, Pinson did have 4 turnovers. That's a lot, but Eason had 6. So in that spot, if you give the ball to Eason, he's going to shoot it. And there's people listening to the show say perfect, but he's not going to pass. He's a little bit of a bull in a china shop, and you're going to get a ton of help side defense. I just don't know if I like him in an ISO situation where everyone knows where the ball is going to go. If it's in the flow of an offense and you get a matchup and he can get the defense in rotation and drive, he's great at that. I just would rather have Pinson setting up. And that's what Will Wade has done his entire time here, is basically let his best ball handler cook at the end of games. We've seen that with Tremont Waters, seen it with Skylar Mays, we've seen it with Javonte Smart, and now you're seeing it with Xavier Pinson. That's just what he generally is going to do. Like it, hate it, that's what's going to be, and that's what it was. So LSU has this one get away from them, and they lose it 77-75. Just a very, very disappointing loss. But again, I just don't think it's one that's going to be crippling for their resume. The net didn't even really move. It was a road game. What you've done, and we'll talk about this at the top of hour number 2 when we talk about the rest of the SEC basketball slate. What you've done now is you've eliminated any chance that you've got to get to the 4 line in the SEC tournament to get the double bye. You're going to lose that, one of the lines we've always been using for the last couple of years, the only team to have the double bye for 3 or 4 years in a row. That streak's coming to an end because of the results that we saw on Saturday, as well as LSU dropping it. But again, it's not some Ole Miss at home loss. It's an albatross on you. It's just a blown opportunity and winning on the road. It doesn't get any easier as they go to Rupp Arena heading up on Wednesday. How do you think the team feels mentally after losing that game against South Carolina and then going to play a Kentucky team that played pretty well on Saturday without a starting backcourt?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough sledding right now because especially this basketball team, especially the way they started this season, being ranked and starting the season unranked and having a ton of success and having the early success you had in SEC play, you're feeling good. And then you hit that scoring low and you hit that losing streak and you did all those things. And then you felt like you came out of it. You started to get your players back, and then you have a tough loss on the road. So now you can't hang too much on this one. This is a Kentucky team you've already beat before. I know some of the stuff in their lineup. Some guys are out of the lineup. Ty Washington, Wheeler out of the lineup and everything that way. But you do have a win over them. So you can hope that you can, take something from that one and try to bring that into this one because this stretch is coming up. It's very tough here. So the last thing you want to do is lose out for the rest of this season. And then now you're going to be on the verge of not making the tournament. So you're going to have to win one here, especially a big one, especially on the road. Let's see if they can do it.
Let's not talk about that just yet. Got to get these guys into the tournament. Hopefully that'll be the case. Listen, if you caught an exclusive ESPN Baton Rouge Mardi Gras bead this weekend, just take a picture of you wearing it and submit it on our website at 1045ESPN.com. We'll give you until March 2nd to submit those photos. Then we'll announce a winner to receive a free crawfish boil from Red Stick Social and beer and wine on us over here at Guarantee. Also, you can win a $250 gift card to Bowie Outfitters. So again, if you caught an exclusive ESPN Baton Rouge Mardi Gras bead this weekend, take a picture of you wearing it and submit it on the website at 1045ESPN.com. Scott Rabalais is going to join us at 1:15 today to talk about gymnastics, to talk about basketball, to talk about women's basketball, and a little bit of baseball as well. We'll hit all the topics with Scott coming up in hour number 2. When we close out hour number 1, we both got some thoughts on what we saw yesterday from Juwan Howard and from Greg Gard in the Michigan-Wisconsin game. If you missed it, There was basically a fight on the floor, and it's not the first time that Juwan Howard has been involved in something like that. So our thoughts are coming up on that to finish out hour number 1. It's Hunt and Hill.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill.
Always proud to tell you about Bayou Ford. You're in the market for an F-150. You're in the market for a Bronco, Expedition, Explorer. Bayou Ford is your spot. Go over to BayouFord.com, and you can search their entire inventory right there. You can also look into customizing a vehicle. This is one of the biggest purchases that we make is our automobile. You might as well get it right. And at this point, 75% of the sales at Bayou Ford are customized vehicles, and 50% of the people who purchase vehicles from Bayou Ford never set foot on the lot. That can be you from the comfort of your own home or from your office. You can make Bayou Ford part of your car buying experience, and we know that they will help you out. They are doing a great job down there. You can make the short drive to LaPlace, or you can go to BayouFord.com.
Yeah, and if you don't want to go to the dealership, look, Bayou Ford has 6 full-time drivers. Their only job is to deliver your custom vehicle right to you. All you got to do is go to BayouFord.com. They're going to do right by you.
We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Follow us on Twitter at 1045 ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside off the Hunt and Hill, the early line. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045 ESPN.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
You know Miller Lite only has 1 more calorie, right?
And more taste. Good choice.
Before we begin any electrical work here, we perform a home safety check that begins at your electrical panel to make sure that you and your family are safe. For all your upgrades, installations, and repairs, call Mr. Electric.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
If home is where the heart is, a roof is a shield. That's why for over 25 years, South Louisiana always turns to Garcia Roofing and Sheet Metal. For more information,
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
If you missed this yesterday, it was kind of the news of the day in sports. Michigan and Wisconsin were playing, and Wisconsin had about a 15-point lead inside a minute to play. And Michigan was still had one starter in the game and was still playing pressure man-to-man defense all over the floor. Wisconsin had all backups in, including a walk-on. And with 15 seconds to go in the game, it looked apparent that Wisconsin was not going to get the ball across midcourt. They had 4 seconds left before they got a 10-second violation. Again, there are 15 seconds left in the game. And Greg Gard from Wisconsin called a timeout. During that timeout, Juwan Howard made it very evident that he did not like that timeout at all. They go back on the floor, the game ends, and they go through the handshake lines. As Gard is approaching Howard, Howard is approaching Gard, and Juwan Howard looks at Greg Gard, and he's going to blow by him, but in the process, he looks at him, he says, "I'll remember that blank." Starts with an S. "I'll remember that blank." So Gard takes with both hands, his left hand to Juwan Howard's bicep and his right hand to his chest, and attempts to stop him, to basically tell him, "I called that timeout because I wasn't going to get the ball across midcourt. I was resetting the 10-second clock." Howard doesn't like that at all. He says, "Don't touch me, don't touch me." He's very upset at this point. Gard raises his voice, and then the entire team turns into a scrum between both benches. Then Juwan Howard circles back around and throws an open-fisted head haymaker. It's not a punch. Apparently it's called a mush. I don't know. He clocks an assistant coach in the head at some point, and then finally the situation diffuses itself. You've seen this. You've reacted to it. What are your thoughts on all this situation?
Look, I think it's a bad look for college basketball. I think Juwan, if he could do this over, he would handle this a lot differently. I know it's about respect, and I think he feels like, Wisconsin coach wasn't respecting the game. But I think if you're pressing a team that late in the game, especially with the lead out of hand, everything's up for debate at that point. I mean, you can call a timeout if you're pressing. I mean, if the game's out of reach, why are you still pressing? I think that would be my first question. And the second question is, once you start putting hands on people, then that's when everything goes out of the window. You're supposed to be a leader for the school. You're supposed to be recruiting, getting parents to, trust you to, lead their kids who are going to be young men. It's just a bad look. I think he could have handled that a lot differently. I'm sure if you ask him now, I wish he did. And I think he'll definitely be getting some disciplinary actions from the University of Michigan coming here shortly. I'm pretty sure of that.
Right on cue here, Mark Cumby in the Bayou 4 chat says, "You don't grab another grown man like that." And this is what this entire thing boils down to, is Juwan Howard's this massive chip on his shoulder where you have to respect him, and he's being disrespected all the time. It happened last year against Maryland with Mark Turgeon, where Juwan Howard essentially charged the bench and said he was going to kill Mark Turgeon. He was offended by the timeout. Who cares? You're gonna lose. There's 11 seconds left, and then he's grossly offended that Greg Gard put 2 hands on him. It's not that big a deal. It's not like he grabbed him by the throat or slapped him. He put his arm on his right bicep, and this feeling that that's some gross disrespect that has to be rectified immediately and physically is pathetic. That's childish behavior. That's what a third grader would do. That's what a high school sophomore would do, would be to get all in a huff and turn it physical. And that's what Juwan Howard has resorted to twice now in the last 2 years as a head basketball coach. It's pitiful and pathetic. It shows some professionalism. Act like you're 50 years old. Yeah. Look, I think Greg Gard probably called the timeout to rub it in a little bit and knew he had the window that he could say, "Hey, I had to reset the clock." He probably did it to rub it in a little bit. Not great, but just get over it. And yeah. Juwan, if there wasn't a track record here, and if he would have come back and apologized instead of getting on the podium and said, "You can't put your hands on me like that," like, it's not a street fight, man. It's a basketball game. Yeah. It's so childish to me.
Yeah, to me, it's all about the precedent you're going to set. And I think for me, if you're a head coach, especially at a university like Michigan, that's the last precedent you want to set. We lose a game, things don't go our way, we're going to start putting our hands on people. It's just a bad look for everyone across the board. You don't want to be doing this. And then shortly after, you saw the players start swinging punches and all that stuff. It's just, this is how melees start. We all remember Malice at the Palace. That's the last thing you want to have, especially right now in this climate that we're in. So I'm disappointed in Juwan. I think he could have definitely handled this a lot differently going forward. And it just seems like when he doesn't get his way, when his team's losing, you're going to see this type of behavior. I don't see him acting this way when Michigan's beating people. So
they were a 1 seed last year, so yeah.
Yeah, so it's just not what you want to see.
I couldn't believe he didn't apologize, and he doubled down in the press conference. That shows that you're still a loose cannon, and it shows me, if I'm a decision maker either with the Big Ten or at Michigan, like, we got a problem. And if anything goes wrong, I've got a coach who's going to go fight people. He's done it twice now. I don't have another way to go about it. And Juwan Howard, it appears, would sit here and say, yeah, I will fight you if something doesn't go right. Like, I gotta defend my name. Or so. It's just, I don't get it. I just don't understand it. Neither coach was in the right here, but Juwan Howard's infractions were, 97 out of 100, and Greg Gard's were like 6. It's just, it's ridiculous to me that he would carry himself that way, but that's the way he's going. So that's kind of an end-out to hour number 1. If you missed it, you can catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com. We went back and talked all baseball for about 30 minutes at the top of the show, and then went to a little bit of LSU basketball there at the bottom of the hour. We'll take a timeout. When we come back in hour number 2, plenty to get to. I want to chat with Scott Rabalais at 1:15 about all the things that are going on and look back at what we saw on the SEC hardwood on Saturday and Sunday. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back for hour number 2 on a Monday. It's Hunt and Hill.
Bayou Ford has 0.9% for 60 months on new Ford F-150 plus $1,000 bonus cash. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. And right now, get $1,000 bonus cash plus 0.9% APR for 60 months on new 2021 Ford F-150. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
To the heroes who are working tirelessly to care for our communities, thank you. We will never forget the countless hours you dedicated on the front lines, choosing to risk your own health to fight for our friends, neighbors, and family members.
You guys are out on the front lines fighting it.
We are grateful for your heroic acts and unwavering spirit. Together, we are overcoming this adversity and make our state healthier and more vibrant again. Ochsner Health.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Hunt and Hill. Tom Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, it's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Out in the open field, hour 2 on a Monday. It's Hunt and Hill. Glad you're hanging out with us. Hope your work week is off to a good start. Looking forward to a good week here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Talking about Tigers and Wildcats. Headed to play Kentucky on Wednesday. And LSU, the nice little road trip up to Ruston on Wednesday on the baseball field against a top 25 Tech Bulldogs team that played well over the weekend. So a lot to get to. But want to look back before we look forward at the weekend that was in the SEC. And I actually want to start a little bit off the court here, Jeremy. I don't know if you saw this story. It made me tweet that Georgia basketball is more dysfunctional than Auburn football. And that's quite a standard, as Auburn football has lost 16 guys to the transfer portal and didn't have any coordinators until it appears they just promoted their wide receivers coach, who's never been a coordinator, to offensive coordinator. Is that what I'm reading? Is that correct?
I think so. I would have to check his pedigree. I don't want to go too hard on the guy. I know this is his first time coordinating the SEC, so maybe he did at the high school level. I'm not sure. I got to do a little more research
To
on
lead
that.
me to say that Georgia basketball is more dysfunctional, things have to go haywire, and I would consider this going haywire. This has been the last 6 days in Georgia basketball. They played a home game against Ole Miss and got hammered by a 3-10 Ole Miss team by almost 20 points. And then we find out that 2 coaches weren't there because they got into a fist fight in the locker room in Baton Rouge last week after the game.
Oh, jeez.
Their point guard plays for Kentucky. Their 2 guard plays for Auburn. Their number 3 plays for Ole Miss and scored 20 on them on Saturday. Their coaches are fighting in the hallway of the PMAC, and they're 1-13 in SEC play. That, my friends, is not very good.
Yeah, good thing their football program just won a championship.
Yeah, nobody cares. Nobody in Athens cares.
Yeah,
there's still confetti falling from the rafters of Sanford Stadium.
Look, they don't have too many bright lights put on that basketball program, right? But talk about dysfunction. Look, the transfer portal, give it, and it dang sure take it away. And that's exactly what happened with this Georgia basketball program, just ravaged by the transfer portal, and it's on full display, going 1-13. I'm surprised they beat Alabama because watching the way they've been playing recently, yeah, they're 1-13 for a reason. Just not a very good basketball team.
Bad. All right, the rest of the day in the SEC, it was an eventful one. The first result that grabbed some eyeballs: Florida beats Auburn 63-62. Auburn falls to 12-2 in league play. The biggest issue I saw here with Bruce Pearl was that Auburn had the basketball with inside 10 seconds to play, down 1, and Jabari Smith didn't touch it.
Mm-hmm.
I gave my thoughts on why Tari Eason didn't need to have the ball in his hands. I can't quite go there with Jabari Smith. He's a much better ball handler. He's a much better shooter. He's the best scorer they've got. For him not to touch it on that last possession, I think is not good.
Yeah, it's not good at all, especially when he had it going from the outside. He's 4 for 5 from the three-point line. He's 10 for 11 from the free throw line. So you feel like if he does drive it to the goal and they foul him, he's got to sink both of the free throws at the line. And if they do give him a three-point shot, you feel like he can rise and pull up and score it. But they believed in Katie Johnson. They didn't get a good shot off at all, and that's what I just talked about with the LSU game. You got to at least get a shot off. That was just a terrible last possession for Auburn, and that's why they lost on the road. I think also, too, Castleton played amazing. I think him being back in that lineup for them, he handled that matchup with Kessler extremely well, and I think that's why Florida won that basketball game.
They stay alive now. That moves them to 7-7. They weren't great in the non-conference. Lost to Oklahoma, lost to Texas Southern, lost a game at Maryland. So they had some issues in the non-conference that mean they have to play a little bit better in conference. But that's a huge win for them. That's one that you can stick on the resume ledger for sure. But there's not really anything else in conference you can hang your hat on. So they're going to have to finish strong. They play Arkansas coming up. That's in the O'Connell Center. That is tomorrow. So that's a big opportunity for them. They get a layup at Georgia. They ought to handle that one. They go to Vanderbilt, and they get a home game with Kentucky. So they can play their way in. And I was ready after that loss where you score 52 points and you lose to Texas A&M, 55 points and lose to Texas A&M. I was like, Mike White's not going to make it. And that still may be the case. But if you can turn this thing around, find a way to beat either Arkansas or Kentucky and getting it done against Georgia and Vanderbilt, I think they'll get in. Do you have any inclination that they will finish strong?
Oh, I was worried about them, especially in that little stretch in the beginning of the SEC schedule. They just weren't playing well. Castleton went out the lineup, and they just did not look good at all. Right now, I think they're on the bubble. I want to see a few more games from them before I say if they're in or not, but they're definitely on the bubble. I think if they win a couple more impressive wins, I think they'll find themselves in the NCAA tournament.
Let's go to Kentucky and Alabama. An absolutely remarkable win by Kentucky, by my estimation. Alabama came out and was lighting the nets on fire in Rupp, and that happens sometimes when they get to cooking. And I just didn't think that Kentucky was going to be able to withstand it. They had no Xavier Wheeler, no Ty Washington, and all of a sudden Keon Ellis goes 7 of 11 from 3. At one point, he was 6 of 6 early in that game. Everything was going in for for Alabama. And when you don't have your starting backcourt and they're shooting like that, you just don't think you have a chance. They come back and win the game fairly comfortably by 9 points. That was, to me, a flex by John Calipari's team.
Yeah, it was. And I talk about it with this LSU team, pointing to a guy that you can say, hey, that guy can knock down some shots. Kellen Grady for Kentucky. Look, don't leave that guy open. He goes 7 for 9 from 3. And, of course, Alabama has no answer for Oscar Tshiebwe. Dominated, 21 points, 14 rebounds. That's how they won that game. Alabama starts out. We talked about that all season long. They can get the 3-ball going, but once that dries up a little bit, it's really hard for them to consistently find baskets in these basketball games. So a big win for Kentucky, especially after losing on the road to Tennessee. That's exactly what Coach Calipari wanted from his basketball program.
You mentioned Kellen Grady. There was one play in the game, if you were watching the game. Kentucky gets the ball, and they try to push it a little bit, and they pull it back out. And as they're pulling the ball back out to kind of set things up, Grady starts walking the other direction. He's not even looking at the play. And the Kentucky guard, I think it was Mintz, threw him the ball and he wasn't looking. And it just hit him in the hip and fell down. He literally looked down, picked it up, and shot it and made it. He wasn't even looking at the play. That's when you're pretty much feeling like you're in the zone. And for Kentucky to score 90 without Wheeler and Washington is something else. Heck of a performance there by Kentucky. On the other side of things, there was a rock fight up in Fayetteville, and Arkansas beat Tennessee 58-48. That moves Arkansas to 10-4, drops Tennessee to 10-4 on Friday. We told you needed Tennessee to go win that game, LSU to win, and then you can start creeping towards that 4 seed. That dream is just about dead now. But Tennessee just has these games where the offense just goes dry and they can't do anything. And that it happened to against Texas Tech in Madison Square Garden. And it's happened to them here in Arkansas. And this is a top 20 team in the country who has some really talented offensive players, but sometimes it just freezes. And Bud Walton's a tough place to play, but 48 points, hey, that stinks.
Yeah, that's not very good from Tennessee, especially after that hero effort that they gave against Kentucky at home. You would think that their offense was rolling, and they got nothing from Vescovy. Vescovy's been a godsend for their offense, especially shooting from the perimeter. He goes 1 for 9 from 3, 2 for 13 from the field, and that offensive well extremely dried up for them. They got nothing from Fulkerson off the bench, who was normally being their 6th man that kind of gave them that Tari Eason role, a guy that they could depend on off the bench. He goes 0 for 2 off the bench. So just not the Tennessee basketball team, not the performance that they would have wanted, but this Arkansas team, they've impressed me, man. This Arkansas team is a real deal. They didn't get a ton from Note. Williams played big with 16 and 13. That's what you need, a dominant player in the post, and that's what he gave them. So got to look out for the Razorbacks, man. They're playing well right now.
I did see. I didn't see a ton of this game. I saw a little bit, but I didn't see a ton. Wes Rucker, who covers Tennessee for 247, wrote an entire column on this game based on the fact that charges are ruining college basketball. And I don't even have to watch the game to know that I fully endorse that column because we have totally lost control with the charges in college basketball. Guys are just falling down left and right, getting calls left and right. It's just absolutely ridiculous how often these guys are getting charges when they're not even attempting to play defense at all. And Wes Rucker said that was a huge problem in this game. It led to a lot of foul trouble for guys and a lot of guys not being on the floor and not playing the minutes they generally do, because every time you drive and somebody falls down, you get a foul whistle and you got to go sit on the bench. It's an epidemic in college basketball. Lastly, wrapping things up, we talked about Ole Miss crushing Georgia. Vanderbilt beats Texas A&M 72-67. Scottie Pippen scored 23 points, and I haven't read up on this. I don't know why Mississippi State and Missouri played on Sunday, but they did. And Mississippi State beat Missouri 58-56 in another kind of a rock fight. And look, this is a Missouri team that's coming to the PMAC on Sunday, and they are not very good. That's a game LSU has to win, and my indication is that they will. But Missouri did take it to Alabama on their home floor just a couple months ago. So that's kind of a run through SEC basketball. The point being that LSU now finds itself in a spot where the fourth spot is essentially unattainable. You just can't really get to it as you run the numbers. The probability level is so low, being that LSU still has to go to Fayetteville, still has to go to Rupp. You're 7-7 now, and you're talking about having to get past one of the teams that's 10-4, 3 games clear of you in Arkansas and Tennessee. So just doesn't look good. Now you're in a pack with Alabama, with Florida, with Mississippi State, and with South Carolina, all at 7-7 in the league. Tigers just now basically fighting to get above 500 in conference play.
Yeah, they are. I mean, you never thought that they'd be in this situation, especially when they started so well to start the SEC play, and then you looked at the schedule like, hey, you got a bunch of unranked teams here, a lot of teams that probably aren't challenging for the top of the SEC. Here's a chance to make a run here. Here's a chance to really, cover some ground in the SEC schedule, and they didn't take advantage of that at all. And that's now you find yourself in a position where you're 500 and having to fight for your life in every game down the stretch, and you're probably going to need some help for some other teams, and that's just not where you want to be for this Coach Wade coach basketball team. So tough stretch here, but that's why you got to go out there and play the games.
I will say this, and we're deep enough in the schedule where I'm comfortable making this statement for LSU. If they go 8-10 in the league, if they beat Missouri and they lose to so it would be 8. Yeah, they lose those 3. So they would beat Missouri, lose to Alabama at home, lose at Rupp, and lose at Arkansas. I believe LSU would get in the NCAA tournament at 8-10 in the league. You would have at that point still a solid net in the top 25. You're 16th right now. You'd be in the top 25. You would have at least 5 quad 1 victories. You would have wins over Tennessee and Kentucky, plus a win at Florida, who might be a tournament team. The bubble is not very strong. You can start routing off negative things for sure, but everybody who's found themselves on the bubble has serious issues. LSU's clean on the back end with it, no terrible losses other than Ole Miss in quad 3. I think 8-10, would get LSU into the NCAA tournament. Can't swear by it. Hope we don't have to deal with it, but that's where I'll stand today. I reserve the right to look at the metrics when that happens and go through the bubble and change. But I do think that the metrics would be good enough, and at 20 wins, that LSU would still get into the NCAA tournament. But again, let's hope that that doesn't happen. All right, tons of stuff going on campus. When Scott Rabalais joins us next, we will start with LSU basketball. We'll touch on a little bit of LSU baseball, and then he will give me a quick answer here on LSU women's basketball and gymnastics. Our Citizens Bank poll question of the day is, what LSU team right now that's playing on campus is the best? Is it the gymnastics team? Is it women's basketball? Is it softball? Or is it Jay Johnson's baseball team? They cranked things up earlier this weekend. So jump to 1045 ESPN on Twitter to answer that Citizens Bank poll question. We'll get you those results at the end of the show. We'll come back. Scott Rabalais with us next on Hunt and Hill.
Serving up the latest from the sports world. It's Hunt and Hill. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the one you know. So go the. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
During these challenging times, we know your healthcare needs don't stop. Cancer, accidents, injuries, and heart disease are relentless. So we are relentlessly innovating to keep you safe, both virtually and in person, connecting you with providers remotely, advancing clinical spaces, providing rapid and accurate testing social distancing, and certified cleaning protocols. We are Auctioner, and we will not slow down. Auctioner Health, innovating healthcare.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Central. David's Tiger Express, famous for Friday night steaks, continues to serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner on their newly expanded deli line. The Central tradition continues with Craig David and David's Tiger Express on the corner of Hooper and Jor in the heart of Central.
Join me, Ronnie Rance, every Saturday morning from 10 until noon for Sports Shorts Radio presented by LeBear's Casino, where we'll have breakfast sandwich reviews, and you never know what Joel Davis is going to say right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Never buying a truck from anywhere else. Great to work with.
Shop BayouFord.com.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
A little bit of drama surrounding the NFL Combine right now as we try to link up with Scott Rabalais. Adam Schefter just had a tweet basically because there's some rumors swirling that basically agents are telling their players to boycott the Combine because of COVID restrictions. And so Schefter tried to clear it up, and he tweeted this out. Just got this from a quote-unquote high-placed source. So you know it's legit. Shefty. Agents are getting on the same page to ask the Combine to unbubble, thereby giving players complete access to their physical therapy and performance teams. Additionally, they're asking for a change to the scheduled day of bench press testing in a return to all the previous years. The agents are not threatening a boycott, but rather considering advising the players en masse to hold off on workouts until pro day. They will still encourage players to participate in the medical, the interview, and the non-physical testing. Clubs have expressed privately that they are fine with players not working out at the Combine and are more interested in seeing players put their best foot forward. It's a lot of word salad, basically saying that we're trying to get guys to either have all the necessary, as we call it, they would deem necessary, all the necessary teammates there to help them perform the best of the Combine because they will be allowed at university pro days where they make their own rules. gone through this whole rigmarole. Like, what's your thoughts on guys needing physical therapy teams and strength coaches and all that kind of jazz?
Yeah, I think especially at this point, a lot of guys played a long college football season, especially some of these guys who played in the national championship game. They got to take care of their bodies. Everyone's dealing with something, especially when you ramp up the training. So I get where the agents are coming from, and I'm sure the NFL, scouts and all things of that nature, they're not too pressed about it. They know pretty much all their work is done already. Now they're just kind of checking boxes at this point. So you can do all that at Pro Day. So I think it's a big deal of nothing if you ask me. I think you're going to still see guys performing at combines, and you're still going to see all the guys show up to get their medical stuff done. So this isn't too crazy of a story, a big deal for me.
I totally agree with that. Let's go to the phone line now. Scott Rabalais from The Advocate is our guest. Scott, how are you?
I'm fine. My phone. I apologize. My phone locked up for some crazy reason right as y'all called me. So, of course, it works fine. Yeah, that's technology, right? It works fine. The other 23 hours and 10 minutes of 50 minutes of the day, but when you need it, then it goes haywire.
Look, people have been talking about my phone on this radio station for 10 years, so I totally get it. We had some significant issues back in the early Moscona days when he would try to interview. We appreciate you making some time for us. All right, let's start with baseball, Scott. You've seen a lot of good offensive teams around here. That was a pretty good start for Jay's boys.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously the big question is how good is or bad is Maine? How good or bad is pitching? They used to be good. I remember when LSU started going to College World Series, Maine would be there, quite often. And I think they played in Omaha once or twice. But obviously they're not that program anymore. But nonetheless, you got to put the bat on the ball. You got to get the walks. You got to run the bases. You got to take advantage to score 51 runs in 3 games. And certainly the point that I'm sure makes LSU baseball fans excited is that it eclipsed a record in the season opening series set by the 1996 team, which obviously was a national champion. So there's some good things, certainly some good things to point to. I think you'd like to see them go on the road at La Tech this week and see how they do there, and then when they go to the Classic at Minute Maid Park next month to play Oklahoma and Baylor and Texas, I'd like to see how they do there. But very very encouraging start. I mean, they didn't win. I was watching some of these other baseball scores from around the conference, and teams are losing, teams are winning. Close games, 4-3 or something like that. No, then they show LSU scored 21-6. That's pretty impressive.
It certainly was. There's no question about that. Anything from the pitching side that stood out to you positively or negatively?
Well, Renselman, or however you say his name, throwing 98. That stands out, obviously. I was a little taken aback when Blake Money got the Friday night start. I'm like, because I know the guy's lost a lot of weight. I know he's in much better shape this year. He just wasn't like, okay, this is your Friday night starter. This is you not exactly you think of someone in the Aaron Nola, Lane Nestepe, kind of mold, but he did very well. I mean, he went out there, you can just beat the team that they put in front of you, and he went out there and dominated Maine on Friday night. So we'll see if he can put back-to-back starts together, and then going forward. So I still have the jury's still out for me on this pitching staff, but there's definitely some good moments for sure.
What do you make of Jay Johnson's first appearance in Alex Box, just as far as his decision-making with the pitching rotation and some of the guys in the batting lineup in the outfield?
Well, there's a feeling out process. I mean, I think the guy's he's got to learn his talent. He's got to learn who does what. I went to the game Friday night, and I was talking to Wilson Alexander about Jacob Berry, playing the outfield instead of third base, and and of course the whole injury situation with I'm blanking on the guy's name who hurt his knee.
Cade Beloso.
Beloso, yeah, that throws a wrench into things. So that's going to make you to move more pieces around, but you got to try out a lot of pitchers. I tell you what, it seemed like he went maybe longer with Money than you might have thought you would have seen under Palmineri or not, in the opener. So is that telling? I don't know. We still got a lot more to learn about him, but the guy, the guy needs a wide berth. People love to play armchair baseball manager, right? And they want to part all the moves. This guy needs a wide berth to learn how good his team is, who players he can depend on, what's not. And you got a month. You got a month of games before you start SEC play. So there's a big learning curve that's going on.
LSU basketball goes up to Columbia, South Carolina, loses at the buzzer, had a day's shot in the air. What did you make of LSU's last possession there and getting Days a 3-point look down 2 in Columbia?
Oh man, what a disheartening loss for LSU. I know South Carolina is a decent team. They're not Georgia like you were talking about or somebody like that. But they've been playing better of late. But man, that's a game you could have won. Look, it's one of those situations in sports. You second guess what doesn't work, right? If Days makes the 3, it's a great decision. But obviously you think it didn't go in, so you're thinking, well, you should drive the lane and try to draw the foul, get to the line, or make the basket or whatever. But if you get blocked, you're like, well, Davis is open in the corner. Why didn't you kick to him? You're driving in there among 3 guys. So it's one of those situations. But I don't know. Like this team has just like that. There was a false sense of optimism, obviously, that everyone thought about, concerning LSU basketball when they got off to that great start. This would be a different team with Adam Miller. Obviously, they lost a lot of momentum when Pinson was out, and they seem to be getting it back. And this loss is a setback. I don't know, Hunt. I'm not as optimistic as you that they get it. I know they got a great net, but I think it's going to be critical. They got to steal one of those games. You got to try to beat Alabama at home or something like that. Finish 9-9 in the SEC. Otherwise, you might have to do something in the tournament. I mean, 20-win teams with a RPI in the 30s, top 30 get left out all the time.
What do you think the general consensus is about this basketball team in Baton Rouge? Do you think this season was a letdown, to be expected with Adam Miller being out of the lineup? What do you think that is right now?
Well, I think it turned out to be a letdown because they started out so well and they got everybody excited. It's like, oh, look what they're doing. Look how well they're playing defense and everything. And then you have the injury situation. No Miller, Pinson and Days were out for different amounts of time and the sort of things. But this was a team we knew going into the season that they're going to be challenged in some respects. You can't lose the players they did off of last year's team and not be challenged somewhat. It was just shocking to see how they grind their gears on offense so much. And obviously the defense, which is fueled by Pinson's presence a lot, was such an improvement. But look, I think if you tell me before the season without Adam Miller they'd be 19-8, and where they are right now, I'd say that's pretty good. It just looks worse in terms of the fact that they started out so great, and since the great start where they were 15-1, they have a losing record, and so that's that's where the disappointment comes in. I still think people who are down on Will Wade, I think it's unfortunate. I think is he Mike Krzyzewski? No, probably not. But I mean, I think he's a good young coach and a good mind. Really understands the game from an analytical standpoint, and has recruited very well. And I think I know it's always people can say, well, it's always next year with LSU basketball. They really have a chance to have a really tremendous team next year if the right players come back and the everything gels together. So I don't think people should get too down. I understand some of the disappointment, but this is what kind of where you thought LSU basketball could be, or what you'd want. Something between football and baseball to be entertaining and have a good record. Make like I said, make the postseason every year. There's no reason LSU can't make the NCAA or the NIT every year, and he is doing that. Now, of course, that's not good enough for very long. So you've got to try to improve, and he understands that, and I appreciate that too. But about where you thought they'd be going into the year. I think if you thought that without Miller they'd be 19-8, that'd be pretty good.
Yeah, and on the bright side, he didn't punch anybody in the face after they lost, so that's a good thing.
He almost punched the UL. He and the UL coach almost came to blows the NIT game a couple of years ago.
That's true. Let's talk about. There was no one that doubted Kim Mulkey's ability to turn this thing around and to create a winner here in Baton Rouge. I don't know if anybody thought she'd sell the PMAC out and have a team in the top 15 right out of the chute. Is this quicker than you could have even thought that they'd be where they are?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I remember going into the year thinking, okay, well, they, stay healthy and stuff, and, good guard play, and they have experience. She'll find a way. I thought she's going to find a way to win 20 games. I thought that. I said doesn't look like a 21 team, especially coming off of 9 wins last year. But you know what? I think she'll find a way to win 20 games because she's Kim Mulkey. But 23-4 and second in the conference. Another, I don't know if you guys saw the women's poll. They're 8th in the AP poll today. You know, we'll see where they are in the bracketology and stuff like that. But I mean, they have just about locked up hosting, you know, first and second round games. And she told me, you know, privately, I don't think she might be saying earlier this season, they're gonna send me to Baylor, you know, for the first round. You watch, you know. And I'm like, yeah, oh, they will. And but that's not happening. I mean, as long as they don't just totally fall apart and get shockingly upset at home by Alabama, who's not very good. It's actually a sport Alabama's not good in. It's women's basketball. LSU should win at home. They have a chance to win at Tennessee because Tennessee is falling apart. They one of their best players got hurt. You know, they just lost to South Carolina, but they've been on kind of a skid. They're down to like they're 21-6, but they're off to kind of like the LSU men. They're off to a great start. And then you go to the SEC tournament. You know, they have a chance to be there with 25, 26 wins going into the NCAA tournament. I mean, no one would have thought that. And there'll be a host if you're a top 4 seed in a regional, and right now they're firmly in that. No, I don't think anyone, including Kim Mulkey, thought that they could be here. But again, you got experience, you got good guard play. They aside from the game at Arkansas, they play very good defense overall. And yesterday, the post players came through when the guards just had one of those days where the shots just weren't falling for them for the most part. And it's a total surprise that they are this good at this point. You know, I think she's done an amazing job. That's not surprising, but the record is. I can think of no one more qualified to answer this question, our Citizens Bank poll question of the day. I'll ask you to do it on air. Best team currently playing on LSU's campus right now, is it? And I didn't have track in there. Obviously, they're defending national champs, but I don't think anybody knows anything about the track that's voting. Women's basketball, gymnastics, baseball, or men's basketball. Yeah, that's a very good question. I'm going to throw out the men's basketball team. Yeah. So you're left with baseball, gymnastics, and women's basketball. Gymnastics team just had a split yesterday, but they are ranked number 5 in the country. So that's on ranking the best, you know, by their season average. So it'd be hard for us to not go with baseball, you know, but I think I will say this. I think the women's basketball team is the most proven commodity at this point. They've won so consistently over the course of the year. They won in the non-conference play, including a win over a top 10 Iowa State team. They've won very consistently in conference. I mean, they lost to South Carolina by 6, but really, played a good game. The only time they really spit the bit was that back-to-back road trip when they lost at Florida and Arkansas. So, I'm going to go with the women's basketball Tigers. I think at this point you know what you have most of all, and I'm going to say Kim Mulkey's team. Yeah, that's pretty surprising. Scott, thanks so much for some time. Thank you, guys. Take care. Scott Rabalais with The Advocate. We'll take a timeout. 30 minutes left. It's Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, Hunt and Hill. Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
To the heroes who are working tirelessly to care for our communities, we thank you. We will never forget the countless hours you dedicated on the front lines, choosing to risk your own health to fight for our friends, neighbors, and family members.
I mean, you guys are out on the front lines, fighting it.
We are grateful for your heroic acts and unwavering spirit. Together, we are overcoming this adversity and make our state healthier and more vibrant again. Ochsner Health.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Thanks to Scott Rabalais for jumping aboard. It's time to blow up the dunk competition.
No, not yet. This happens. I mean, you go through the years of the dunk contest. There'll be some years where it's amazing. There'll be some years where it's not so hot. I think the participants has a lot more to do with it than the actual dunk contest. A lot of the guys who can really high fly, they normally sit it out. And the guys who can put on a show, they normally sit it out.
How do you change that?
I think you gotta up the antes for the winner of that whole thing. I think right now it's just not enough juice on it for some of these guys to possibly risk injury. I can't point to a guy that's got hurt in a dunk contest before, but these guys, they're too cool for school for the dunk contest. So I think that has a lot to do with it. But no, I think you got to keep it going just for from a traditional standpoint.
I feel like we've done everything. Like there was a time when we started this where guys were doing crazy stuff. I mean, you can point to the great moments in dunk contest history, whether it's the MJ with the free throw line stuff, and then you had Vince with the "it's over" in the dunk contest. I thought Dwight Howard, when he put the Superman cape on and threw it in, and then he did the sticker thing, that was awesome. I don't know if Blake Griffin jumping over a car was the coolest thing I've ever seen, but you can point to the great stuff, and I feel like we've just done everything there is to do. And then when you continue to miss and miss and miss and miss, I didn't even watch it, but everybody's just going nuts talking about it. It just sounds like it was awful. And maybe the 3-point competition has kind of eclipsed it as kind of the premier skills competition, which I'm fine with. I'd rather watch guys shoot threes anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the 3-point competition is always fun. They've added a little bit to it with the 4-point shot in the middle of that whole thing. But I don't know, man. I like looking forward to the dunk contest to end the night. Just unfortunate this past one was just terrible. But I remember just a couple seasons ago, Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon having one of the best dunk contests of all time. That's not so far removed. So it's definitely possible. It's just the people jumping into it. They got to have some more marquee guys. I think that'll definitely help out with that.
All right, one more little NBA nugget here. There's an email that has been sent out to a bunch of people in New Orleans and season ticket holders for the Pelicans. And it says, Pelicans 22-23 ticket plan, be there for it all. And this is the text of the email for looking for season tickets. Led by new head coach Willie Green and players Brandon Ingram, Jonas Valanciunas, and C.J. McCollum, the Pelicans are building something special across the street from the Caesars Superdome. And with their best ever season ticket package now on sale, there's never been a better time to lock in. Join the squad. What did you notice about that?
No Zion Williamson in that.
No mention of the number 1 overall pick in that email. That is odd to me.
Yeah, that is very odd.
What do you make of that?
I mean, it's just what the Pels. I know there's some very, very loyal Pelicans fans in the Bayou for a chat here, but you just got to look through the history of the Hornets / Pelicans, man. It's been very difficult for them to retain their superstars, as far as going back as Baron Davis to Chris Paul to Anthony Davis. And now you see Zion Williamson kind of going down that road. I thought Taylor Sharp and I talked about it like the second week into the season. I was like, dude, Zion isn't playing this season. He was like, yeah, you're probably right about that. And
why?
Look, to me, I just read the tea leaves myself. I'm just looking at him. I don't know anyone in Zion's camp. Haven't heard anything. I'm just looking at the writing on the wall. You show up, in the shape that he was in, and especially just, the way he's been there. I think he's missed over 60 or 70% of the games that he should have been allotted and playing in. Like, the dude doesn't play. So if he's so eager and willing to play, I know he's had some injuries here and there, but it seems like he found a way to get back on the basketball court, and it just hasn't seemed to be the case.
This doesn't make any sense to me. Like, you worked your entire life to become an NBA basketball player. You go to Duke, you're the number 1 overall pick, and then you decide, not really feeling it at age like 20 or 21 or whatever it is. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, it's a different era, man. It's a TikTok era now. So everyone cares about their likes, their retweets, and all this stuff. Everyone's so offended by every little thing. And I don't know. I think you would have to talk to Zion, but from just looking at it, I don't think he's going to be a Pelican for much longer. I just don't see it happen. I'd be very shocked if he does sign an extension here that he wouldn't force his way out with the trade shortly after, which I think is a wave that a lot of these NBA players are figuring out and making work. Hey, look, I don't want to be here, so you may as well get some compensation back before I leave. And, I mean, if you're an owner and there's no franchise tag, what are you going to do? You're going to get the compensation. So I think Zion's lining up to be right in that boat right there.
I realized that was just dead air when I just stopped. There's so many things that go through my mind, and I don't even care about the Pelicans. And I'm not some, old man get off my lawn type deal, but I mean, it's not like you're being asked to go play in Anchorage, Alaska. Like, you're in New Orleans, Louisiana, which is a small market, but it's a city that a lot of people visit and love, and there's a lot of people that have made it home and had successful sports careers. It's not like the worst place on earth. And they've got an all-star in Brandon Ingram. They just went and got a 20-point-per-game sharpshooter in C.J. It's like, they're not asking you to go play in Siberia with a bunch of guys you never heard of. Like, would you rather play with LeBron and the Lakers? Yeah, you probably would. Would you rather go to the Knicks and play in Madison Square Garden with 4 all-stars and make the playoffs? Like, I can find better situations, but, like, it's not that bad. I don't know all the details. I'm not educated enough to speak on this with a ton of passion and facts. I can just sit here from the sidelines and go, this doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I think for me, it all goes back to the love of the game, and I think that's a question you're going to have to ask Zion. Like, if you really love the game of basketball and the game of basketball really got you to where you are today with all your endorsements, having a full scholarship to Duke and being the first overall pick in the NBA and being a starter and, having one of the most dynamic second season in the NBA, averaging 26 and doing some of the things he did, making the All-Star team, you would think that guy would be dying to get back on the court and improve his game and do some of these things, but it just hasn't felt that way for me, and especially him showing up the way he did this season just lets me know where his head was at and physically and mentally. So I'll be very shocked if he's a Pelican more than 2 or 3 seasons from now, just with the way the NBA is going and stars being able to just, point to whatever team they want to go to and, what are you going to do about it, especially with no franchise tag? I don't see him being a Pelican much longer.
And this has been NBA Chat on Hunt and Hill. Yep. We'll come back as we do every single day and finish it up. We'll take it or leave it. It's Hunt and Hill.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Always, always, always proud to tell you about Brake Medics, brakemedics.com. Look, if you hear something that doesn't sound right, you need to take care of that. You've got to take care of your vehicle, and Brake Medics is the most convenient, cost-effective solution in terms of changing your brakes. They come to you, brake repair anywhere. That means at your house. That means at your office. They pull up in that Brake Medics vehicle. You can't miss it. Blue and red. Did it at my house. Pulled right into the driveway, right behind the car. Got the jack out. Car was up. Changed the brakes. Took about an hour. Brakes cooled off. Good to go. And the best part about it is they've got a 24-month, 24,000-mile nationwide warranty on all their work. They are fully insured, fully licensed to come to your place, whether that's in Baton Rouge, as far as the North Shore, Hammond, anywhere in our listening area. Make Brake Medics your brake repair specialists.
Yeah, all you got to do is go to brakemedics.com for your free quote today. You log into their website, put the make, year, and model of your vehicle, and whatever brake symptoms your vehicle may be dealing with at the time, they'll have all those options right there on the website for you. Just put your name, email, and phone number, and brakemedics.com will get back to you with the free quote today.
Brakemedics.com. We make house calls.
We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Guess you got to take the baby steps, take them as wins. Sounds like the MLB and the players, the union, some ownership, Had a meeting today in Florida. It lasted an hour and 15 minutes. That's better than the usual 12 minutes we were getting in the last few weeks. Sounds like they're taking things a little more seriously, but as of this point, doesn't sound like a resolution has been made. You think they're going to play on time?
I think so. It's just, let me rephrase. Maybe not on time, but whatever TV deals they got planned out with all these networks, we got to play. Look, we got to have 100 games. Yeah, whatever it is. If it's 85 games, they're going to reach that, I'm sure. Because once both sides say, hey, look, we're going to probably miss out on X, Y, Z in revenue this season if we miss this amount of games. So let's kind of speed this whole process up and get this thing done. That's what I think is going to happen.
They figured the DH thing out real quick, and then they went to the money side of things, and it just fell apart immediately. So hopefully some things are getting done over there. Guys like Francisco Lindor, Max Scherzer, a couple of owners all meeting in Florida. So I'm looking for a resolution. I'm eyeballing an August weekend for Wrigley. I hadn't been in 3 years. I want to go very badly. We got to get this thing figured out and start playing a little bit of baseball. But the good news is Fighting Tigers are on the baseball field, which is a very, very good thing. And they will be back in action Wednesday at Louisiana Tech, who's got a nice little team. So we'll talk about that coming up in a couple of days. Let's do a little bit of take it or leave it here to finish things off, Mr. Hill. The NBA celebrated its 75 best players of all time this past weekend in Cleveland for All-Star Weekend. They ranked him. Michael Jordan came in first. LeBron James was second. I will ask you, LeBron James, second best player of all time. Take it or leave it.
Oh, I'll take that all day. I'll take that. Look, I know he's not number one, and that's just a terrible spot. So disrespectful to put LeBron as number two. I mean, come on. How could you be so disrespectful? But no, honestly, I think right now he's number two. Just everything he's accomplished, 4 championships, 4 finals MVPs. It's hard to catch Mike, man. It's hard to beat 6-0 in the finals. It's hard to beat all those MVPs. It's hard to beat all those finals. And to top it off, Defensive Player of the Year on top of it. So not a bad spot for the King. My boy on the Lakers, we need a little run here, LeBron, so try to dig deep here. But, I got LeBron at number 2, and I think that's not too bad of a place.
I saw a stat earlier, and it said it had, the best passers in NBA history statistically, and he just blew them away in scoring and had the best scores in NBA history, and he blew him away in assists. So he's the full package. I'm bummed I never saw him in his prime. That was a mistake on my part. I've seen a fair number of guys in their prime, and glad to have seen it, but I did not see him in his prime, and that would have been a sight to see.
Alrighty, here, want me to get this one? All right, LSU destroyed Maine by scoring 51 runs over the weekend with Barry, Doty, and Jobert all hitting 2 home runs. Are you taking or leaving? This season's home run leader will be one of these 3.
I'll leave it. I think Dylan Cruz will lead the team in home runs. Barry's got a little head start on him there, but once Cruz gets rocking and rolling, I think he's going to be a nightmare. I was curious to see who was going to protect who in the lineup, and he put Barry in front of Cruz, which is a more beneficial spot for Barry to be hitting than Cruz. But hey, you got K. Doty hitting behind you. That's not a bad spot as well. So I'll take Cruz, even though I'm starting behind. But it'll be one of those. It's an embarrassment of riches in Baton Rouge. The NCAA is going to review its NIL policies, also look into some potential recruiting violations. This is your words, not me. Texas 8-4. Cough, cough. I would never insinuate that Texas A&M was bending the rules in any way. Ever. Would never do that. That's disrespectful. And it's what did Jimbo say it was? It was it disrespectful? I think it was disrespectful to the coaches that worked so hard and all the players who had earned those scholarships. But NCAA is going to find some perpetrators and dish out some punishment for NIL deals. Take it or leave it.
I will leave that. I just find no trust in the NCAA, especially after teams are putting together the best recruiting classes we've seen to humankind with 8, 9 5-stars in one class. Okay, now it's probably time to start. We look into this stuff right now. No, you're a day late, dollar short. So I think there's probably going to be minimal to anything. And if they do find something, like we've seen with some of these other basketball teams in violations, just a little slap on the wrist, maybe a scholarship here, maybe a little fine there. It's not going to be anything crazy. So, yeah, it's a little late for my liking NCAA, but I guess we've been talking about it. They got to do something about this NIL thing, and I guess they're starting to do it now. All right, last one here. My boy Nick Saban. He spoke at a coaching clinic in Alabama where he said you can point to the loss in the national championship to 3 players who didn't step up to the occasion while Bama was out their top two receivers and their best DB. Saban blaming the loss on his players. Take it or leave it.
I mean, I'll leave it. Whatever. I think he always has a motive when he's speaking. He always has a point he's trying to get across or message he's trying to deliver. He understands who he's talking to when he's talking to. He's always very, very calculated in the things he does there. So, the receiver corps was hurting pretty good, and we know that, and they were without their best DB. But look, LSU has played 2 seasons with no players, so I don't feel so bad for him. Oh, well. That'll do it for Take It or Leave It. And that'll do it for us today. Been a really fun show. Appreciate y'all for tagging along in the Bayou Ford chat. Before we get on down the road, we will check out the Citizens Bank poll question of the day. Find that every single day on our Twitter feed at 1045 ESPN. Today's Citizens Bank poll question: what's the best LSU team currently in competition? Softball got 3% of the vote. Gymnastics got 16% of the vote. Baseball with 38% of the vote. And the winner, women's basketball. Best team on campus right now, 44%. We would not have thought that back in November. A heck of a performance by Kim Mulkey's squad. And they continue to climb up those bracketologies and up into those rankings. They're in the top 10 now. So good stuff. But with Kim Mulkey and the recruiting class, looks pretty good to this point. So she's building a monster. She's going to win a national championship for us all said and done. I feel very confident in saying that. That's going to do it for us. Missed anything, Scott Rabalais, baseball recap, basketball recap, you can find it all on demand, 1045ESPN.com, as well as on YouTube, where we're hanging out every day. Please subscribe to our channel and throw us a like. Matt Moscona going to drive you home today on After Further Review from 3 to 6. Jimmy Yacht's Game Time from 6 to 8. And you know what's coming up next. Your boys with the early line. That's Mario and Musso. We will see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your Monday listening to Hunt and Hill on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.